Brief History of Indian Independence and Partition, 1947 to present.
The 1930s global depression snaps agrarian bonds, pitting Muslim debtors against Hindu creditors. Following the 1925 death of leader C.R. Das, the secular Bengal Pact collapses, fueling communal polarization. The 1928 Bengal Tenancy Bill alienates Muslim tenants as the Hindu elite opposes peasant-friendly reforms. Marginalized in the 1937 provincial elections, Jinnah reformulates his strategy using the two-nation theory. Jinnah uses the demand for Pakistan as a tactic to secure communal parity at the federal level. The Congress leadership resists decentralization, favoring a strong unitary center for state planning. In 1946, the British cabinet mission attempts a final compromise through a three-tier federal structure. The plan proposes a weak union with compulsory provincial grouping to preserve a united state. The plan falters when Nehru asserts that provinces should have the immediate right to opt out of groups. Interpreting the Congress stance as a threat, the Muslim League withdraws and calls for Direct Action Day. Partisan reporting and inflammatory pamphlets by local leaders ignite tensions in urban centers. The Great Calcutta Killings leave 4,000 dead, making partition appear as the only exit strategy.
The June 3rd plan accelerates the independence date, forcing a hasty division of the subcontinent. A referendum in Sylhet sees a 57% vote to join East Bengal, despite local elite opposition. The Kudai Khidmatgar boycotts the NWFP referendum because Pashtunistan is not an option. English barrister Cyril Radcliffe is given just 5 weeks to draw a border for 88 million people. Radcliffe splits integrated urban centers, awarding Lahore to Pakistan and Amritsar to India. Gurdaspur is awarded to India, providing its only viable land access to Jammu and Kashmir. Control of critical irrigation headworks at Firozapur is awarded to India, sparking future water disputes. Despite being 97% non-Muslim, the Chittagong Hill Tracts are awarded to Pakistan for economic ties. Mountbatten suppresses the boundary announcement until August 17th to shield the British from immediate outrage. Millions celebrate independence in cartographic limbo, unaware of which country they reside in. Rumors fill the vacuum, triggering preemptive violence to establish demographic dominance before the line is revealed. The Radcliffe Line becomes a permanent scar, dividing families and the social fabric of South Asia. Between 12 and 20 million people are displaced in one of the largest migrations in history. Demobilized soldiers organize lethal professional attacks on refugee columns in the rural countryside. The flight of educated Hindu and Sikh commercial classes significantly alters literacy and occupation patterns. Districts with refugee inflows see literacy rates rise by up to 16% due to the migrant demographic. The Kurukshetra camp becomes the largest relief site in India, housing 300,000 displaced persons. The female body becomes a site of communal retaliation, with 75,000 women abducted and raped. Male family members often coerce their wives and daughters into suicide to preserve communal honor. Survivors frame the killing of female kin as martyrdom rather than murder to safeguard family purity. In 1947, both states launch recovery operations, forcibly returning women across the border against their will. Recovered women are often separated from children born of their captors, labeled as illegitimate by the state. Families frequently refuse to accept defiled women back, leaving them abandoned in isolated centers. Trauma is buried in silence, creating post-memory, where descendants imaginatively reconstruct the gaps in their history. Patel and Menon launch an intensive campaign to integrate states covering 40% of the landmass. Rulers join the Union by surrendering control of defense, external affairs, and communications. Tensions flare as the Maharaja of Jodhpur draws a pistol on Menon during the accession signing. Following a pro-India plebiscite, the Nawab of Junagadh flees to Karachi as his state is integrated. Operation Polo results in the rapid defeat of the Nizam's forces and the integration of Hyderabad. Maharaja Hari Singh signs the instrument of accession to India in exchange for military aid against invaders. The 1948 war ends with a UN ceasefire, leaving Kashmir permanently divided and a flashpoint. Dr. Ambedkar chairs the drafting committee, spending nearly 3 years crafting the Indian Constitution. The Assembly spends 16 days, 14% of the clause-by-clause debate, deliberating on fundamental rights. The Constitution takes effect, transforming the Dominion into a sovereign federal democratic republic. Decolonized assets, from railway cars to the treasury, are split between the two nations on an 80-20 ratio. The 1956 States Reorganization Act dismantles princely unions, redrawing boundaries along linguistic lines. India adopts a mixed economy model, directing state capital toward heavy industry and temples of modern India. The License Raj creates a bureaucratic system that protects domestic industry but stifles growth. Severe food shortages in the 1960s force India to rely on grain aid from the United States. The Green Revolution achieves food self-sufficiency, but creates regional wealth disparities and soil damage. In 1975, the Allahabad High Court finds Prime Minister Indira Gandhi guilty of electoral malpractice. On June 25, 1975, civil liberties are suspended, and opposition leaders are imprisoned without trial. Unpopular policies like forced sterilizations and slum demolitions severely diminish public support for the Congress. The unified Janata Party defeats Gandhi in a landslide, ending single-party Congress dominance. In Pakistan, General Zia-ul-Haq secures massive aid from the U.S. following the 1979 Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. The influx of greenbacks and weapons catalyzes the entrenchment of militant networks in Pakistani society. In 1960, the Indus Waters Treaty is signed, providing a resilient framework for water sharing. India gains exclusive use of the eastern rivers, while Pakistan receives 80% of the basin's total water.
Facing a 1991 financial crisis, India launches neoliberal LPG reforms to dismantle the License Raj. The economy shifts towards service-led growth, transforming India into a global information technology hub. The digital JAM Trinity, bank accounts, biometric IDs, and mobile connectivity revolutionizes welfare delivery. The Unified Payments Interface, UPI, transforms real-time payments, expanding India's digital footprint internationally. Indian projects like the Ratle and Kishanganga dams draw objections, securitizing water diplomacy. Post-memory trauma is transmitted across generations through family stories and protective silences. Literature and cinema capture the lived textures of displacement that state histories often erase. Artistic works highlight how patriarchal honor often supersedes individual humanity in the wake of trauma. Partition remains an unfinished process, with the unresolved Kashmir issue fueling multiple bilateral wars. Demographic complexity persists as millions remained outside their designated homelands during the division. Modern politics reflect the unresolved dialectic between all India nationalism and communitarian identities. The cartographic lines of 1947 continue to divide the collective memory and social fabric of South Asia.